not every day you see the regiment-renowned Bloodthirster for Khorne, especially alongside Skarbrand, but Skarbrand's Rampage is so strong right now. It definitely synergizes well with a number of different units, and here, this is a matchup where actually Khorne's Bloody Fist can do pretty well, I think, against Slaanesh. You're not going to be worried too much about missiles, of course. Slaanesh also doesn't have the best anti-large tools in general, so a big, relatively armored monster, although certainly... one thing, let me just get on my soapbox for a minute here. Bloodthirsters need more HP, armor, probably something else. I don't know. They're just, for being sort of the quote-unquote best melee greater demon, they really fall short in a number of categories when compared to other units in their class. So please buff Bloodthirsters in general. But Khorne's Bloody Fist, of course, has its extra little bit damage resistance ability here, which definitely does help it not take quite so much damage. And, yeah, is that it? I think that's basically it as far as the Khorne's Bloody Fist special abilities. Anyway, we've got some Furies here, getting ready to dive down against these Fiends. It's going to be just a bunch of Exalted Bloodthirsters, so a very tall elite build here for Khorne. No Karnak, but we do have the Hounds of the Blood Hunt. As for Slaanesh here, Anti-Kaiju, the... friend of the channel, the regular submitter of replays here. He's got a bunch of Horsemen of Slaanesh. He's got some Exalted Demonettes, Devoted Marauders up front, Azazel up in the sky here, some Fiends, and some Hellstriders currently kind of skirmishing away from Khorne's Bloody Fist and trying to pull back here into a position perhaps to be supported, try and pull Khorne out of the woods to a degree. But let's see here. Yeah, these Fiends definitely don't want to get multi-rushed without support here. So Slaanesh definitely wants to pull. Yeah, you can see the Fiends and the Hellstriders from the other side getting ready to pull back here. We're going to see probably a Rampage, yep, on Khorne's Bloody Fist, which will draw him down into combat against some Devoted Marauders, which is not the worst thing that could happen here, especially as the Exalted Bloodletters are in a position where they can quickly follow up. And Skarbrand as well. Good old Scarbro charging on in. Going to be getting some great damage. Oh yeah, let's check out these two as they fight against each other. And sorry about that. I just walked in with some coffee, which is very nice of her. Yeah, Azazel here is going to be involved in this combat. It's a big, chaotic, messy, bloody mess. And it's definitely something that I think will favor Khorne more here, definitely, than Slaanesh. But yeah, you can see Azazel here is not necessarily wanting to fight these two. We've got all sorts of different effects happening with Skarbrand here, just absolutely destroying the UI with the amount of effects going off here. But yeah, there's some stuff happening. This engagement, the Fiends are taking a surprisingly little amount of damage, to be honest, in this engagement. And they're able to punch back pretty hard here. You can see the Hounds of the Blood Hunt getting overwhelmed fairly easily. That said, Exalted Bloodletters are definitely going to be in their element in a fight like this, just racking up kills left and right on all these infantry. Yeah, you can see this one's already up to 122 kills, just absolutely cleaving through Slaanesh lines here. The Khorne's Furies are definitely suffering, but yeah, Slaanesh also has lost a number of units here. Hounds of the Blood Hunt managed to get loose. They're going to chase down those routing Hellstriders there. And here, the Fiends... Yeah, I mean, Fiends in a surround are one of the best tools for anti-large that Slaanesh has access to. Unfortunately, the Furies and Bloodletters supporting this engagement, I mean, they just cut through the Exalted Demonettes there. And now the Fiends probably start taking quite a bit of damage. Yeah, losing out on those Fiends is definitely going to be quite painful. But let's see, the rest of the battlefield here is pretty much falling under Slaanesh control. These Marauder Horsemen can come in and start throwing some javelins. Pretty good effect. Magical javelins will definitely do some solid DPS to these Furies and basically everything here for Khorne. It's all demons, right? For Khorne, there's no mortal units. That magic damage on the weapon attack will definitely be quite good. But let's see here. Yeah, Skarbrand. Khorne's Bloody Fist just looking for more targets. Basically just going to be supporting these Exalted Bloodletters and kind of just daring Slaanesh to jump in on engagements. But we see here, yeah, these Hellstriders getting rampaged into Skarbrand. As this other unit of Fiends kind of hangs around. The best chance for Slaanesh is definitely, you know, Fiends plus Azazel, everything all together. try and get a cohesive engagement on these last two big single entities, but another Khorne being popped here. We've got Wrathful Reaper as well from Skarbrand, like 900 weapon strength, 100 attack, absolutely insane stats here as the final engagement going to play out, perhaps. But I'm not really sure where those fiends are going. I guess they're kind of just hanging back for now, allowing whatever units, you know, are left just to kind of soak in here. But let's see, yeah, here comes Azazel and the Fiends, looking for an engagement, perhaps. They can get in here on the Khorne's Bloody Fist without Skarbrand being involved, but the doggos immediately rush into support. Skarbrand's not far behind. Not looking good right now for the Fiends, as a couple of those models just get cut down straight by these juiced-up Khorne units. Just, you know, all the debuffs in the world can't necessarily save them in a situation like this. Taking massive swings from those Khorne single entities, and it's an interesting build concept for sure. I mean, I don't know that Slaanesh necessarily has the best answers for this, just straight up. You know, their best chance would definitely be to try and just win through, like, getting good engagement. If you could possibly pull these two apart, right? Like if the Khorne player makes some mistakes, or if you can somehow tactically, like, generate that. But even still, I mean, he's done a pretty decent job, Anti-Kaiju has, of doing some damage to these big single entities here. And Zazel's actually going to get a nice late-game engagement. Temptator active with, yeah, a little bit of damage resistance. He gets a few hits on Skarbrand, but can only do so much, really. Skarbrand activates his Rampage, which is going to pull Azazel down to the ground, and this is the Nightmare engagement. 2v1 versus Skarbrand and the big old Bloodthirster. Azazel is absolutely not cut out for a straight-up fight like this, and he's just going to get absolutely pummeled here, stepped on, smacked in the face, everything you want. And it'll be a victory for Khorne, so fun one for sure. Like I said, I like the build concept quite a bit from Yume's here, because, I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. You punish Slaanesh for the lack of anti-large and not being just as good in straight-up melee combat as you, with these two big beatstick monsters supported by just the best anti-infantry in the game. I mean, they're not going to get shot in this matchup, right? So also, again, makes a lot of sense there. Yeah, build worked pretty well, all things considered. Anti-Kaiju's perspective, I do think this is a tough matchup for Slaanesh, probably one of the tougher ones right now, just because, again, that lack of anti-large, that lack of just straight-up combat potential outside of pretty much like Fiends. I guess Exalted Demonettes also paid for themselves as well. Maybe you just take even more of them, to be honest, in hindsight. But it's definitely interesting for sure. I mean, these kind of elite demons being sort of in vogue right now. It's definitely pretty good. But, yeah, I mean, even with the engagements playing out as they were, the Khorne's Bloody Fist still did pretty much not pay for itself, I think. I think it's over 2,000, is it? In terms of cost here. Yeah, I mean, $23.50 versus $2,000 for just a base Bloodthirster, and for some reason, Creative Assembly thinks that they're, like, should be limited to one because they're actually super weapons, when that is very far from the truth. Yeah, I mean, ways you could buff the Bloodthirster, definitely increasing its HP, right? So, like, let's just take the base Bloodthirster as an example. And there's another unit that was recently buffed that's sort of in that anti-large World Beater class, right? That would be the Tomb Kings and their Necrosphinx. So let's just do some quick comparisons. Now, keep in mind the Bloodthirster does fly, which is pretty big, but pretty much slightly better combat stats, you know, attack, defense, less weapon strength, which is a big one, like 120 less weapon strength, and 1,200 less HP. I think those are the biggest modifiers by far. And it's not like the base Necrosphinx is that good, right? Like, people will pretty much only take the Regiment of Renown, which, granted, is a little bit more expensive, but, again, flaming magic damage, pretty comparable, honestly, to the Bloodthirster. Compare that to the Bloodthirster ROR. Right, again, the extra armor, health, and weapon strength just makes such a huge difference, specifically for units in this class. Yeah, I mean, it's just that 2,000 HP actually in the case of the Regiments of Renown, since I guess the Sphinx of Usek has a little bit of extra HP, right? So yeah, it's just bad. It's a bad comparison, especially considering, again, Bloodthirster should be one of the best melee monsters in the game, especially given Khorne's theming. It's like the top monster for the top melee faction, and just falls short in so many ways right now. So definitely would like to see some buffs for the Bloodthirster. Slaanesh also probably used with some minor buffs. I actually think maybe the Exalted Keeper of Secrets does have a little bit of anti-large, but it's just going to wilt in those bigger, more kind of straight-up melee engagements. And it's not like this Slaanesh necessarily needs to be better in those straight-up melee engagements, but yeah, I just think from a roster perspective, like the Hellstriders maybe could do with a little bit of a buff, but also, you know, Chariots being a little bit more usable would perhaps change the dynamic a little bit. I mean, maybe you could focus more on anti-large, but Slaanesh definitely just needs a DLC as well. I mean, Khorne's getting theirs coming up very soon, and even without that, Khorne's got, you know, Karnak, and just really strong ability, Lord ability sets right now. You know, I mean, Karnak by himself kind of changed the game, but even the Rampage change for Skarbrand, I mean, they just generally are in a better place there, in my opinion. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed this. A little bit of a ramble at the end, but there you go. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification every time I upload a new video. You'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.